Hello, this is Dale Matthews, and I'm joined by Mike Jones. Hello, Mike Jones.
Hi, what are we killing today?
Well, we're eradicating weeds, and we're using glyphosate. Glyphosate. I'm
Yes.
always tempted to say glyco something, but it's not glyco something. It's glyphosate.
Huh. Okay.
So it's a
I
relative.
think that is short for glycophosphate.
Okay, it's a
I don't
relative
know.
of Roundup, a relative of it, and it's
Mm-hmm.
probably made by Monsanto. And
Yes.
it's
The
a very
evil
effective.
Monsanto.
Oh yeah, we yeah.
That's how you have to say it.
Yes, yeah, right. Like I say, the county clerk, or a couple of the people over at the Grants Pass city government. Anyway, David Reeves.
Yes.
So this is a helicopter that's spraying a field. It's
Mm-hmm.
not the exact helicopter we're going to be talking about today, but it's pretty close. So one of the things you've asked us to do again and again, hold their feet to the fire, watch what they're doing, watch them carefully, especially over the next year, because when we say goodbye to these commissioners, then we want to find out what it is they're doing in the meantime and try to minimize the harm that they can do to the county before we give them a boot. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
and what is the reasoning behind that? Well, part of it is think back to all you need to do is one thing. Let's suppose that you're a person who says, I like the idea of the levy. Okay, I disagree. Mike disagrees, but welcome to the show anyway. Let's see if you like this. The county has decided it's going to pick winners and losers with economic development money. You don't understand economic development, Mr. Matthews. And our finance director has made it clear to them that they're going to make a choice between handing it out as a gift or giving it out as a loan. He'd really rather they give it as a gift. Why is that? Because it's a lot of trouble to track down a loan and be sure you're getting paid back. Now, whatever your politics, do you like that?
Sure.
Yeah, it's a decision that they've made. It's easier to hand out economic development money just as a gift. And we have heard in the little back room proof that they've said they're not following up on this because that's kind of hard to follow up on what's going on. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why someone can come to them and say 214 family wage jobs created by building 2 ramps. Or they can come to them and say, we're putting a plaque on a rock and that's going to create 90 jobs. And they continue giving them money.
Mm-hmm.
Liars giving money to liars. That's not good. I like some of the people working at the IVCDO, Illinois Valley
But they're
Community
all
Development.
liars.
Well, on this, they're lying. And they're rewarded for lying. Okay. And maybe you don't like that. So some of the reasons why the commissioners should be fairly sensitive to criticism, the junk ordinances. We told them that we didn't think it was a good idea, but it was pushed and pushed and pushed, mostly by Cheryl Walker with the help of Keith Heck, a vote of 2-1. And it almost became an ordinance. And the people said, no, we don't want that. They were defeated by 80%. That's huge. They're very sensitive after that. Then Keith Heck says something about, well, I never said anything bad about anybody. Okay, it was a dumb thing to say. And then he decided he was going to jump on us. This is not a good idea. We're your advocates. We are your actual public servants. And he said, well, you've doctored the tape. No, we didn't. And we proved that we didn't. Okay. Then their support for the levy. And we keep telling them every year or twice a year and twice on Sunday, we don't want this. And the anti-levy guys always win, but they decide they're going to do it anyway. They should be sensitive about this. They should be sensitive because they're backing lunkhead ideas. Okay.
Well, and you know what? You never know. There may be some sort of a contest on the part of these people that who's going to be the one to spearhead this thing through.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be Cheryl. The $100,000 cost overrun that was never reported in the newspaper, no matter how many times I battered that guy. He's gone now from the Courier.
Oh, is he now? He's done?
He's done.
Okay.
This is what we've been told, okay? They never reported that. Manor development. It just didn't add together. Those guys, that, at Ivy Airport, they were going to build drones. Somehow it just didn't make sense. They wouldn't answer their telephones. They got 3 international headquarters, and nobody ever answers the telephone. They don't even have an answering machine. Something wasn't adding up. Turns out that wasn't vetted very well by Larry Graves, the airport's director. I'll vet this. I completely vetted it. Well, it just turns out that the head guy at Manor Development was also the biggest contributor to Simon Harris's reelection campaign. This doesn't add up. It doesn't look right. Okay. And then, they've got a bunch of stuff now that they're very sensitive about. What's happening currently is, I had to write it down because it's the new fire standards. These fire standards just don't seem quite right. And the more we look into it, the more it looks like the original 4 ordinances, the junk ordinances. Now we're finding out that maybe, because it's not clear, maybe they're going to divide the county up into parts, and and these fire companies, there's just 2 of them, a big one and a little one in Merlin, and maybe they will have to pay for a franchise, and they might, if they want to do business in more than one area of the county, they might have to pay multiple franchise fees. Really?
Yeah, and of course that's speculation because we don't have the data on this.
And that's another similarity with the ordinances, is that there was stuff that was missing. It wasn't making any sense, and this refers to an appendix that's non-existent.
Yes. Well, have you asked somebody and they said that the appendix doesn't exist at all?
Well, not only did that come up at the weekly business session by one of the citizens who looked into it, but I'm a citizen too. I looked into it and there's no appendix.
Yeah.
Okay. So then there's the mineral withdrawal. We're going to stand up and talk about the mineral withdrawal, and the Congress shouldn't do this. When are you going to stand up? What did you say? The deadline was last Monday. Did you say anything? We don't know. We're certainly going to speak. You're not saying anything. When are you going to say something? Nothing.
Well, you would think that if they at least personally, sent an email on, I guess behalf of themselves about what they thought, you would think that they would at least share that, because it sort of looked as though Keith and Simon both were sort of proud of their positions of being not in favor of this mineral.
If they've got good news, tell us the good news. Don't keep saying you only report bad news. Tell us the good news. Oh, no, we don't think we're going to do that. What's the matter with you? Tell us what you're going to say. Put it out as a press release. Release it to the Courier. Then there's the GMO ordinance. We voted. We gave the GMO ordinances, we gave the GMO growers, and the pro-GMO guys lost. They lost, okay? Get over it. It's America. And they gave them a year to tone down, and then just the day before it was going to go into effect, they protested it. Well, then the commissioners say, well, we're not going to enforce it. Hey, what about the vote? Okay, whichever side you are on that. Mike was on the other side, but we took a vote. Then there's the marijuana thing. Well, we're really not going to. Yeah, they're kind of on shaky ground. Everybody is. And now the latest one is the Food and Friends deal. Are they really doing the right thing with this Meals on Wheels, Food on Friends deal? Well, we're totally blameless, except, well, no, it's the 4-H board. You are the 4-H board. 3 commissioners, 3 members of the 4-H board. Don't say it's somebody else. It's you. Oh, but I'm wearing a different hat. No. They deserve some criticism. They don't deserve all the criticism in the world. And when we get to this story, which we will, I don't think it's their fault at all. But there's something wrong with the system, and we're going to talk about that. But first, we're going to play a little tape, and you got to watch fast. Watch quickly, because it goes by very quickly. They are so risk adverse now. They feel so.
Do you want me to slow down the playback?
No, they feel. We're going to play it twice. They feel so put upon that even Cheryl, who's the main wheel behind these new fire standards that we all so desperately need, she's telling the news media, whoever that's supposed to be. It can't be KJO. They're not news media. She's telling them and anybody that calls to talk to Keith. Wait a minute. Cheryl knows more about it than Keith does, but Keith is the perfect guy because he will tell you at every opportunity, there's nothing here. It's like the policeman on the beat in the old movies. Move along, there's nothing to see here. Then if there's nothing to see here, Officer Friendly, then why are the news media guys over there snapping pictures? There's obviously something to see here. What, are you trying to be a wise guy? Yeah, because there is something. Don't lie to me and say there's nothing to see here. There is something to see here. There's blood all over the place. There cats and dogs are hanging right and left. You know, they're spouting up like a shower. Don't tell me there's nothing to see here. There's obviously something to see. Well, this is Keith that excels at that. Well, that's nothing. You're just nothing. You don't understand anything. That's his main thing that he can do. He can say, well, it really means nothing. Cheryl's tired of telling people it means nothing because they don't believe her. Mm-hmm. So you'll see them talking in this meeting about, well, we're going to leave that up to Keith. Keith is going to be the contact for things he doesn't know anything about. And then Keith starts talking about one of the subjects. You're going to have to watch carefully. We'll play it back. I did something I don't like to do. After it plays the first time, I blew up the two of them. I put them next to each other so you can see the way that they're looking. Oh, well, Dale Matthews, you're just, you're what, every nuance? Yeah, because they don't talk about a lot of things. You have to be there and understand the background to understand what it is.
Read the body language.
You have to do that because they're not going to come out and say, we could speak about that, but we won't. They don't do that. So you've got to watch them and you've got to be awake and paying attention when they do these things. You'll see Keith stop in mid-sentence and go, and Simon's going, and he decides not to talk. We'll tell you what that means in a moment. Watch this little piece of video. Watch carefully.
Yeah, I think that somebody needs to be,
the primary contact, and that way the rest of us aren't.
We know your intent. We know the intent of that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to say
but I'm really glad because I was able to say that.
That's good.
I said, if you're wanting information from the press, contact Mr. Heck. He's our public information person on this subject.
Yeah.
So.
And yesterday at the, I'm sorry.
No, I'm through. That's right.
Yesterday, I retracted whatever I started to say.
Good.
What?
I see where you're going in. I was thinking that it might be beneficial. We had that meeting with the COG. I think it went really well. People are still writing stuff and concerned about things. The COG needs to put something out. And I wonder if you could convey that message.
Now, what the heck are they saying there? RVCOG, Rogue Valley Council of Governments, just had scathing things to say about the commissioners and what they've done about the Food and Friends program and a place for them to stay. Now, whether it's completely the commissioner's fault or not, they can't say it's got nothing to do with this because they are the 4-H Extension Service guys, okay? And so Michael Cavallero with RVCOG, Council of Governments, COG, they said a lot of negative things and ended up in the newspaper because now they have someone to write about things that don't look right. And so Simon at the end, I left that in because Simon at the end is saying, we really need them to write some kind of letter or some kind of press release saying everything is fine now. Because they're so sensitive to being criticized because there's so much to criticize. But the most important part is you can see Keith started to talk about something and then he goes, what? And then Simon's going like this. And it's hard to see it on this tape, which is why I zoomed in. I could see it very clearly in the room, but he's going like, don't say a word. And, well, I retract what I just started to say. Good. What? Really? Let's watch close-ups. Go ahead.
And yesterday at the, I'm sorry.
No, I'm through. That's right.
Yesterday, I retracted whatever I started to say.
Good.
Oh, really?
Good. Yes. Good. You shut up, you old crazy person or whatever.
He started to say more than now. Okay. So who cares, right? When this meeting was over.
Most transparent in history.
Yeah. So when this meeting was over, I went to go see Wally Hicks, the county attorney, and I told him what happened. And I don't understand Wally sometimes. He says, so what's your problem? And I said, look, Wally, if they want to say in public, in an open public meeting, in a quorum, we're not going to say anything, or let's agree not to say anything because we've been criticized enough. Well, I don't like it, but I understand it. That's not what happened here. Keith started to talk, and suddenly he stopped talking because of a look that Simon gave him. So this means, I said to Wally, and Wally started, this means that they had to have discussed
Yes.
this thing about not talking in public. This is about secrecy. They had to have discussed it.
That's
correct.
correct.
My question to you, the same thing I ask every week. At what open public meeting did you discuss that if Simon does this, that means stop talking?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah, you can't just give him the bunny look of death and then suddenly Keith is going to stop. They had to have discussed what this means.
Yeah, like in the car on the way over to Keijo or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And then now Wally's saying, well, I see your point. I said, Wally, that's not good. No. And I said, Wally, they're under such intense scrutiny because you asked us to do this, right? They're being watched so carefully that now they have nonverbal messages back and forth. Play that last little bit again so that you can see what's happening. It goes by quickly, sorry, but that's what they did.
And yesterday at the, I'm sorry.
No, I'm through. That's all right.
Yesterday, I retracted whatever I started to say.
Good.
So here's the question to you. Is that what you want? Do you want them to be able to pass secret messages back and forth, which we've seen on tape?
Right.
Do you want them to give each other a certain look, prearranged, where they know what they're talking about? Okay. Do you want that so they'll shut up and not tell you what's happening?
You know what? Some people would want that. I know because I've seen these people. We've talked to them on Facebook. Yeah. Oh no, just leave them alone. They're doing fine. Don't scrutinize them. Don't ask them questions. What's he done? Oh, I don't care.
Yeah.
So
that's right. So that's how you end up with them handing out money as a gift instead of giving it out as a loan, then getting it back and then handing it out to the next person as a gift. It's just as a loan, and it keeps working for you. We don't have anything working for us. Their economic development plans are terrible. They're run by Cheryl Walker, and we're the only ones scrutinizing them. They hate us. They hate me. They yell at us. They call us names. Filthy names. It's horrible because we're watching them. This is what you asked for. This is what you're getting. And that's how we earn our money. Right, Mike? You get your check?
There shouldn't be any objection at all because, we just heard it in the weekly business session a couple of days ago that, Cheryl said, oh, we're all about transparency. We're doing a great job of transparency.
Until he looks at you and then you shut up in the middle of a sentence. And he says, good.
But if you're talking up your transparency, maybe, you could like actually do it.
No, it's enough to talk about it.
Yes.
Okay.
I suspect that's true.
Story number 2. Keep in mind, my personal opinion is I don't think the commissioners are to blame for this next story. I just don't think that they are. So we look at all kinds of media to try to bring you a compilation like we did last night of things that are happening all over the state that relate to us here. And so I'm looking at some article in, it wasn't in Roseburg, it was in Eugene or whatever. And it's repeated by the Associated Press. And it's something about Appleby Aviation. And I'm thinking, boy, that name sounds familiar. Appleby Aviation. So because I try to follow this stuff for you, I'm thinking, where have I heard that before? So I look back to August 27th. Yeah. And there's Vic Harris, and he's talking with the commissioners in the little back room. He's talking about the fact that we've had these burned forests in the area, and we need someone to come in and spray because, well, tell them why you would have to spray, Mike.
Well, anytime you go and cut out an area, or or in this particular case, you have a fire that defoliates the area, you're going to have to either spray it to keep the foliage down, because it's going to explode as soon as rain and sunlight hit that area. You're going to have an explosion of undergrowth, the likes of which it probably hasn't existed in that area in a long time, because it's had a forest canopy over it where not a whole lot of light is hitting the floor.
And it's eventually going to be flammable undergrowth.
Yes, absolutely. That's the biggest factor here, is that you have this explosion of essentially brush. Number one, it becomes almost impenetrable. And the other part about it is it's highly flammable. And, if a fire source gets to it, boom, it's going to take off.
Okay, but Mike, I don't like, I'm not saying this for myself, but I don't like any kind of spraying at any time. Nothing should ever be sprayed. Your answer?
Well, there's a lot of people like that. And okay, then you have the job. Go out there and camp out in these places where they would normally spray with your loppers and a chainsaw and a weed whacker, and go in there and take care of all of this stuff. The reason why they do the spraying is because it is the most economical way of dealing with the issue. That is the reason why they do it.
Couldn't we send out Rika Brown to pull the weeds?
Yes, you could, but that would not be anywhere near as economical as this is, as the spraying. The spraying, it keeps the vegetative growth from coming back up in the area. And what's probably going to happen is that they're going to come in and replant that area or something like that. And they also have to keep this vegetation down. Otherwise the stuff grows up, and you can't get, I don't think that this stuff affects the Douglas fir trees in the same way that it does, say like a broadleaf weed or, some other kind of foliage. So they can spray it while the seedlings, I don't know if that's the right way of putting it, but young Douglas fir trees that have just been planted are there. I think it can spray right over the top of those.
Well, the thing is, Mike hesitated a little bit there on one of the bits of terminology. We do a broad leaf. We do a lot of coverage of a lot of items. And every once in a while we get somebody, well, I know every detail and you've got this, it really, the word should be like this, look, we're going to do what we can. And when you're ready to do a nightly newscast every single night of the year, then you can, but of course there's going to be experts that know, well, you don't say glyphosate, you say glyphosate, whatever,
yes.
Okay, we're not going to get every tiny detail correctly, but we're going to get the broad strokes correct.
Yes, and I'm incorrect about it. It is glyphosate, and so anyway, it's normally used for weeds.
Right. Okay. So
in a sort of residential usage, but there's a lot of other things that it kills.
So if you're going to be spraying stuff, you better be danged careful. You better be careful. Now, we all know,
especially from a helicopter.
Yes. Now, we all know that the people in Williams, as soon as they hear the word spraying, they go, whoa, spraying. Okay. But there's a good reason. See, they were mostly treated like crazy people by the commissioners. Those Williams people, again, they're just crazy about spraying. Well, what they said was that they were being sprayed by helicopter, and that it was ending up in the wrong place. Oh no, it can't be ending up in the wrong place. Well, we've got GPS positioning and global and this, and by that could never happen. And they're saying, we've got proof. And the commissioners were like, oh yeah, well, sure, we're listening to you, all right. And then, you know, once they were gone, it's like, oh man. Well, here's a story that tells you the Williams people may be correct. I mean, it definitely heads in their direction. So I'm reading through this thing, and I see this Appleby Aviation. And I'm thinking, Appleby. So on the 27th of August, Vic Harris, the county forester, seems like a good guy. He's going to be retiring soon, however, apparently. This is early warning from us because we pay attention. And you asked us to. We do. He came to the commissioner saying, we're going to need to spend about $30,000 to have this firm that we've never worked with before come out and do the spraying. And you'll notice that in this meeting, which followed, this is August 27th, in this meeting in the little back room, Keith Heck, God bless him, asks all the right questions. Every question that should be asked, to be super careful. And the reason he's saying this is because the company we worked with before screwed up. And he wants to be sure that somebody, just like they tried to do with Larry Graves at the airport, somebody has vetted this company to be sure that they're not going to screw up. And you watch, he'll ask every correct question, everything that someone from Williams would ask. Go ahead and play that video.
Well, this contract we have here is all of the fire. We had big cuts from the fire. We have to take care of the control coming in this department here, and we were lucky to get somebody to do it this year. It's everybody's just busy, and so the contract came through. We did some elbow twist, and we finally got somebody to do the contract for us. A little bit more expensive than we thought, but it's so far cheap. It's 500 acres.
The guy talks way, way, way too fast. And I've boosted the audio 500%. You still aren't going to be able to tell some of the things he's saying. He's saying, sorry, it's the best that I can do sitting in that room. Go ahead.
Can't do it by hand. So it's one of those little projects here.
Well, you could do it by hand.
Yeah.
See you next year.
Yeah. I'll do it right away.
Yeah. This is a different firm than the one that we've had before that didn't have the sterling results. And his reputation is above reproach, right?
Yes. We haven't really dealt with them when we talk to people. They've been in business for a while. So.
Yes, he's out of the area again, but that's
that's
not
really
bad.
Hard. No, it's hard to get people right now.
Yeah. On this contract, 3.2, the contractor says it shall comply with all label requirements.
Yes.
It doesn't. Why not? Doesn't it say all EPA and label requirements?
Well, all the EPA rules are in the label.
Okay.
So it's all part of that. And the labels are very big labels, and you have to apply for everything.
And where it says peel back and read on the.
Yeah. For the book.
Yeah.
For the book. Yeah.
That's the book.
Yeah, we have the big version of it in the office here. So.
And then these making the different reports in 3.678 or whatever it is. To whom does he report? I mean, to make sure that he is using all of the right stuff.
Well,
that's your responsibility.
That's our responsibility.
Okay.
Yes.
And for the areas that he is spraying and he's staying within 60 feet from the line,
all that stuff.
who verifies that?
Rick went out there and he flagged it all out in the field, and he'll be out in the field with it, and they have a GPS and a helicopter, and so they know where they're at when they're doing that. So they know where they're at, and we have some drip control for some of the stuff that's straight down, doesn't grease and stuff like that. So big concern for us to make sure we don't do anything like that. So.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah,
GPS label.
oh yeah, and in the old days it was stood up there and looked at that. See, yeah, they look at a white log. Okay, you're good.
So the old days of Billy Bob flying out there and doing it all the seat of his pants, those are long gone.
Yeah.
Okay. That didn't have any other questions on that. So. Good.
Thank you.
Yeah. Easy pickings.
Yeah.
That'll be on yeah. What did you say? Yeah.
Thank you.
That's it. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Now, that's about 45 seconds out of a 2-hour meeting. And I'm still trying to pay attention without falling asleep during all this because it's about whatever. But I'm looking through this paper and it says that Appleby Aviation, same company, has been fined by the state. It takes a lot for the state to fine somebody. That's not a big fine, but they've been fined because they screwed up. Oh, really? Well, how did they screw up? What did they do in screwing up? They apparently sprayed incorrectly. Mike is going to pick up the story from here. Mike?
Okay. Well, they obviously, and this is, I just wanted to comment on what they were saying in that meeting there. When you're flying a helicopter and you're trying to keep something 60 feet away from something else, especially when you're spraying it out and you've got wind variabilities and all of this sort of thing, a GPS in the helicopter, I don't know that that's going to help you a great deal. The GPS, number one, is not that accurate. It doesn't give you precise placement on the ground unless you have a military style GPS unit. It gives you within 15, 20 meters, I think. It's not super precise. But,
so you set a bigger set aside. You make absolutely sure you're not doing something, let's say, like spraying your own truck.
Right. But listen, and I guarantee you, when they're flying that close to the ground, they're not spending a whole lot of time looking at a GPS. They're paying attention to where that vehicle is flying because they're 1 second away from dying. And a lot of these guys do because, when you're that close to the ground, you can't really make mistakes and get away with it. So,
well, the people of Williams would say, now, wait a second. If you're going to do this kind of spraying, don't spray us. And don't spray our pets. Don't spray our children. Don't spray the bicyclists going by, which they claim happened. Don't spray in the wrong places. I mean, if you can't spray correctly, then don't spray. It's dangerous.
Yeah, right.
It's poisonous to people. It's probable. It's a probable carcinogen. So be careful. Well, they've sort of been proven right. What did we find out? This is an odd story. What did we find out, Mike?
Well, this is a story. It's a whistleblower came to the Oregonian, and this was a guy. And I'll just basically read the article here.
Please do.
It tells about this guy that was working for him hauling herbicide, and he started getting sprayed, and so that's where the story came from.
He ended up in the hospital.
Yes, exactly. Exposed atop the barren clearcut in Oregon's coastal mountains, he hid in the only place he could. A helicopter circled overhead, spraying a fine mist of toxic weed killers. Daryl Ivey took refuge inside his pickup, windows up and the doors shut. The scene was captured on camera. One or more of 200 videos Ivey recorded on his smartphone.
What?
That's a lot of videos.
Now, what's up with that? I mean, that makes you wonder right there. Why is this guy shooting 200 videos of the company that he works with?
Yeah, it is a little weird. So again and again, herbicides rained down. The milky chemical mix stained Ivey's windshield white and turned his phlegm red. Ivey, a truck driver, spent 17 days this spring on a spray crew in Douglas County, the heart of Oregon's timber country. He got sprayed so often it became routine. Don't worry about it, Ivey, said the pilot. It won't hurt you. Yes.
Yeah.
Troubled by what he saw, Ivey documented the working conditions day after day. He recently provided hours of time-stamped clips, hundreds of photographs to the Oregonian. The photos and videos provide damning proof of what can happen deep in Oregon's forests when no one is looking. The scenes could have come from a Hitchcock movie. That might be overstating a little bit.
The shower scene or the birds?
I don't know.
It was sour.
They say that, and it's supposed to, horror. Okay. They kept a helicopter pilot repeatedly unleashing hazardous chemicals on Ivy and others. The clip showed drivers moving leaky trucks covered in weed killers past homes, campgrounds, and rivers. One driver dips a bucket used to measure atrazine, a chemical that easily pollutes water, into a stream. That's nice.
This is the same company that we've just contracted with. Go ahead.
Yes. In another video, Ivy chronicles how he and coworkers drove chemical trucks on high on narrow logging roads, moving atop eroded earth that appears to have freshly slid away. In other words, this is an unstable road to be driving on. In others, they pump water out of streams without first notifying the necessary state agencies.
Boy.
Nothing is more worrisome than the number of times the helicopter sprays over workers. Depending on chemicals used, workers aren't allowed to enter spray sites for up to 48 hours. Directly spraying workers is illegal. No.
You think?
Wow, let me see here.
The people of Williams or whatever, hey, they're spraying us,
Yes.
And so now you're going to keep reading?
Yeah. It is also illegal to allow chemicals to drift onto workers. Okay. I don't know how.
At least they won't get in trouble for drifting. They sprayed it directly on them and their truck.
Yes. Well, but you cannot allow it to drift either.
Right.
And listen, as soon as it leaves the nozzle, you're allowing it to do anything. That ship's already sailed. You're not gonna.
But the people of Williams have said over and over again, how the heck can you use a helicopter that's pushing air down and out?
Yeah.
How can you say it's going to be restricted to a certain area? Well, this is GPS and it's fine science.
Right. Yeah, right. Okay. Well, case in point, look at that chopper behind you.
Yes.
Okay. On the right-hand side of the chopper, it looks as though it's laying out a pretty uniform spray, but what's coming off of the left side is hooking back around and coming right through the rotor blades again.
And this is what the people were trying to say to us in Williams. They're not going to spray Williams, but this is what they're trying to say, and they got so much guff for it. Well, you're just exaggerating. You don't know. You don't understand economic development, Mr. Matthews. They were treating them like they were crazy.
Okay. And so we were talking about, what is it that they're spraying? Apparently it's not Roundup. So, one of the weed killers, Velosa, which is identified in the videos, can cause irreversible eye damage. Another 2,4-D causes skin irritation. Breathing even its vapors can cause dizziness. If such chemicals land on workers' clothes, they're supposed to take them off and wash their skin for 15 minutes.
That's a long time of washing.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it reminds me of, we've all seen the movie scenes of like when somebody's getting a scrub down from having been exposed to radioactive exposure. Better. Okay, let's see here. 15 minutes. Ivy said he was never told that. He wore the same clothes for 3 days before realizing it might be the reason his skin felt itchy. Really? Really?
Man.
Come on.
I was sprayed by this stuff and now I'm coughing up blood. And what does
I
that
don't
mean?
get it. I don't understand.
Well, it'll all be okay.
Industry representatives insist that timber companies and their contractors follow the rules. They say they adhere to federally approved instructions for each chemical.
Hey, Mike, we're protected by our policies.
Oh, yeah, see? Right, exactly. We've heard that before. Documentation like Ivy's is rare. Regulators are seldom present during spray operations. Yeah, I wonder why. They don't want to be there during spray operations.
Well, did you remember this meeting from the 27th where Keithek asked all the right questions, not blaming the commissioners? He says to Vic Harris, Well, who will be there to make sure they're doing it right? Do you remember what Vic's answer was? One of the
Yeah,
people
well,
on the staff
they have
has
GPS.
yes.
Yes.
So
They have
what can
GPS. Don't
possibly
worry
go
about it.
wrong? That's right.
It'll be fine. Okay. Okay. Documentation like IVs.
No, wait. I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. Just a second. They got GPS. Okay.
Yeah.
It's the same company. They've got GPS. Now, I understand he's got to be watching the ground and glancing at the GPS every once in a while. Hopefully the numbers aren't this tiny. Hopefully they're a little bit bigger.
I think what it is you got a screen and it has, an area and it shows your position on that area.
Right. And I've been in search and rescue work where you're supposed to do a grid, okay? Aerial search and rescue grid. And I know a little bit about following the procedure, or else you're going to miss something. You're not going to find the lost hiker or whatever, okay?
Right.
So this guy, the pilot, is concentrating on not crashing, concentrating on watching the GPS, and he misses the fact that he's flying over his own truck and his own employee.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Is big.
Okay. So let's imagine you're flying a chopper and that there's a trigger on the cyclic there, and that is what's releasing the chemical, and you let off. So how long do you think after he lets go of that stuff is still coming out of the nozzles?
Good point. And if you're going to say that you're safe and that you're worth the $30,000 and that the people of Williams can calm down, what you do is you set up these barriers so it's not possible for you to spray your own truck. Look, this truck is going to need to be somewhere near the landing zone. You know what the rules are about landing zones. I mean, you can't even let aviation gas out of the helicopter because you'll be polluting. You're certainly not going to let potential carcinogens spray all over the landing zone. You don't want those potential carcinogens to be spraying your own truck. Okay, so the idea that it not only did he fly over that area, but he sprayed and his truck is like covered in white stuff and the guy is covered in it, and it's not the first time it's happened, and this is not the first time the state has fined them. That's not good.
Yeah. And so basically, I mean, you get the gist of what's going on here with this guy, but we have some of the video that he shot.
Let's see that also. Yeah, anytime.
Okay. All right.
Don't forget now, it's 200 videos, so that's good and bad. What I mean is it's good that he's documenting it, but doesn't it make you wonder I mean, let's be fair, doesn't it make you wonder just a little bit, what kind of person would shoot 200 videos?
Yes. And to be clear on what happened to this guy, ultimately, I mean, he was apparently coughing up blood for days in a row, and yet he's still going back to work. And then, ultimately, at some point, he ends up going to the hospital. They strip him of all of his clothes and do the, nuclear accident washdown on the guy. And
he's coughing up blood for days, and he keeps going back. Now, okay,
keeps going back, but he never forgets to videotape.
Something's not okay. It's very much, it reminds me, sorry Viken and sorry Joseph Rice, but it kind of reminds me of when we're talking with these guys and you go, oh, well, that's pretty bad, and then they say something, you go, well, then who authored the website? And they're like, I don't really want to answer. What? Well, who was the author of the website? Well, I don't really want to answer. Well, now wait a minute, were you the author? Oh, I don't really want to answer. Now wait a minute. Okay, so I don't know. It's something's not quite adding up, although we know his truck was sprayed. So whether the guy was doing something strange or whatever, or doesn't know enough when you're coughing up blood to go to the hospital right away or see your doctor, whatever the guy's motivation or mental capacity, that doesn't really matter because his own truck was sprayed. And it's not the first time this kind of thing has happened.
And there's another element here, and let's watch the video, and then I'll talk about that after.
Here's the element in the room.
This spot right here, I'm hiding in the truck. And I'm basically might as well just get sprayed here. Oh boy.
So he's talked with this pilot before about this problem.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Hop in and close the door, dude. He's spraying right here. Like, how windy is that? Is that bad or good?
It looks too windy to me, but there's a bad truck driver, so I know. But it's not laying down like you see it. It's just pretty much always dropping right below it, right?
I'm glad we got a vehicle to sit in.
Man, look at that. What's that on the windshield?
Yeah, we just got sprayed.
That's a little hard to see.
Yeah, it was
At least he
bad.
warned us.
He was pointing at who knows what, wasn't paying attention to what he was pointing at.
Yes.
Well, I kind of understand why it ended up with so many videos, because he keeps stopping and starting it, and each one of those is a video.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that explains a little bit more.
Okay, that's basically it. There's more of these, but essentially in a couple of them you can see that the stuff is hitting the windshield, and so.
Well, we're going to take your word for it, because I got to tell you, Mike, watching that, I couldn't tell for sure that there was droplets ending up on the truck.
Yeah, it is difficult to tell that. You can see the spray coming off of the ends of the thing, but you can't see that happening like right over the top of the truck in these particular videos. There was a whole bunch of videos, and I could have, I guess downloaded every one of them, but the show's only an hour long. So
okay. So by your eyewitness testimony, Mr. Jones, hold up the hand like this, you have seen that there was some of the spray that had dropped on the truck.
Yes, it's not crazy, but it is apparent that some of it did. Yes.
So there's been a problem with this company in the past. Now let's be completely fair. We don't know if the company is under brand new management. Okay, because there are some people who are still blaming inland fire and thinking that's the same thing as county fire, which it's not, over in Merlin. Okay, they're not sprayers, but water. But that's not the same company. Maybe this company has been one that's been laughing all the time and think it's funny that they're spraying their guy and hope he dies. Maybe. On the other hand, maybe it's brand new people. Maybe it's brand new people who are saying, "Oh, this is awful. We would never. Now that we're running the company, we would never do such a thing as was in our past." We don't know that.
And listen, I don't know that you can immediately attach. And of course, this is the way it always happens. I mean, corporately, if you do something, if any one of your people does something that causes a problem, it's the responsibility of the corporation. However, in this particular case, you might have just had a pilot there that was just careless. He didn't care enough about what he's doing, and spraying on people. Now, here's the other shoe. There was that guy. He also had a friend there with him.
Yeah.
Friend go to the hospital and get checked in and coughing up blood and all that.
I didn't know there was a friend until you just played this back.
Yeah. So, and there may well have been several other people there on the ground at the time when these things were happening. Did any one of those guys have exposure?
So look, the two bookends on this are, here's a guy, pardon me, we don't know enough. Okay. We're bringing you the story. but we don't know enough. Well, you should never report something unless you know every detail. You know what? Then we never report anything because no one ever has it. The truth of a story is where you decide you're tired of researching it. And then that's the truth. But you could go forever. So one possibility is it's a crazy guy who's trying to get sprayed because he wants to blame the company. Possible. On the other hand, it's a crazy helicopter pilot that's, a relative of the owner of the company that says,
Yes.
haha,
Right.
I am spraying
Crazy
you
uncle.
and I don't care.
Yes. Right.
Those are the two bookends, or anywhere in between, or it keeps changing back and forth.
And it's clearly somewhere in between that. And listen, if you want to have if you want to get more information on this, just go to Google. This is on OregonLive.com, which is the Oregonians website. And you go to just search on Google, whistleblower videos reveal helicopter spraying workers with weed killers, or Oregon Appleby Aviation. You're probably going to find
Appleby, yeah. But if you go to the Appleby website, which we have,
you're not going to see this.
Anything
they don't have a link to this article.
No, they don't.
Yes.
Okay, all right. But so there's a company that's been fined by the state. It's not a lot of money, but fined.
$1,100.
They've done some things wrong in the past. It looks like they did something wrong here. I mean, spraying your own truck is not good. Okay, that's pretty obvious. And spraying the landing zone where the truck, no, none of this is good. Okay, so what? So the commissioners aren't at fault? Well, this story, we don't just say commissioners are bad all the time. They're not bad all the time. Stop it. Okay, that's not true. Okay, so, but is there any way that we can try to prevent the county from being involved in something that's going to make the people in Williams look like they're geniuses? Is there a way we can avoid that? Because the commissioners are especially sensitive to being not only sprayed, but also being wrong. Okay, they don't like to be proven to be wrong. They hate that. So I talked to Vic Harris, and I said, Vic, what do you think about all this? Well, he had just found out about it the day that I asked him. And he said, yeah, that's not so good. And I said, so the question I have for you is, do you have any process to not just vet these guys, okay, which his assistant apparently did, Rick, I don't know his last name. Do you have any process to kind of look into their background? I'll give you an example. Let's suppose, because some people don't care about spraying, okay, but a lot of people care about pets. Let's suppose that they don't call it the pound, they call it, let's suppose animal control is being overrun by animals. And someone says, well, our little household, we'll take care, we have the facility to take care of 50 animals here. And they go, well, that's great, super, we'll do up a little contract with you, and thank you for being so good. And then it turns out that they're well known on the state level for abusing animals. Is it any fault at all of Diane Hoover Health and also the people at the animal shelter for signing a contract with the wrong people? Is there a procedure? Shouldn't there be a standard operating procedure to do some kind of due diligence, it's called, to be sure that you're contracting with someone that hasn't been caught 85 times?
Yeah. Yeah, there probably ought to be something. Now, listen, in fairness here, before the program, when I was looking for this article again, I found another one on the Oregonian here, $20,000 fine cut to zero in high-profile helicopter herbicide spray case, not related to this company. So there's a number of companies out there that probably run up against these sort of issues all the time. This is a helicopter pilot that works for, let's see here, the Oregon Department of Agriculture, pilot Stephen Owen and his White City company, Pacific Air Research. They were going to fine him $20,000. And instead, they are suspending his spraying license for a year, which is probably going to cost him a lot more than 20 grand.
Yeah. Pacific
and
Air Research. It's like these phone calls I get. Hello, we're researching something. Okay, what are you researching? Would you like to save money on a mattress? That's not research. Click.
Yes, right, exactly.
Sales. Okay, Pacific Air Research is spraying. Look, the other thing too is I went to talk with Wally Hicks. Well, of course I did. You asked us to do this. I talked with Wally and I said, so what's the deal on this? And he says, well, I don't know. You know, I said, but Wally, you're in charge of making sure. Sorry, Wally. It's like, oh, I'm going to get blamed for this. I said, well, I don't know. I said, you're in charge of keeping the county commissioners out of trouble by not signing contracts with people with whom they probably should not sign a contract. I said, so what kind of standard operating procedure do you have? What kind of due diligence do you expect of yourself in making sure that we have at least done a perfunctory search, so that we're not signing up with someone who, do they even have a license? I mean, we need to know this, right? They don't have any standard operating procedure. They're not doing any due diligence. It never occurred to them, he says. Not good.
Dale was heavily influenced by Valley Girls in the 80s or something.
Where you always ask a question. It is a question. Should they not have some kind of basic procedure before we sign a contract with somebody? Think again about the animals. I mean, because we've got animal abusers in our, well, I'll take them in. Yeah, that's not good. It's not the fault of the commissioners as far as I can see. So stop thinking that. It is the system that's just proceeding along business as usual. This is the big thing in Josephine County. It's business as usual. It never occurred to us to check the people with whom we're signing a contract. It never occurred to you?
Well, and now listen, it may well be that if you look into the record of any one of these spray outfits, that you will find similar incidents logged in. Because frankly, $1,100 as a fine, $1,100. I mean, come on, really?
Especially compared with the $30,000 we're going to pay them. That's not really the point. Maybe they all do it.
Yeah.
Maybe this is just a couple of them.
No, but you're right.
We don't have any procedure to even look into it. We can't even say in a court of law, well, we did our due diligence, because we didn't.
Yeah. Right.
This is, see, if there's one thing that we're against on this show, and Mike, you correct me if I'm wrong, it's business as usual, because how's that been working out for you?
Yes, not very well. And listen, this is in the county, the county's interests too, because they would likely, in addition to any company that gets named as a defendant, the county is in line there, and
yes,
they're the ones with the deeper of the pockets. So there isn't any question that this is it's a liability issue.
And I'd like to sum up by saying, look, the next time citizens from Williams or anywhere come to you county commissioners and say, we've seen things that are wrong, don't laugh at them. Don't treat Livna like they're idiots. Oh, we never would. Listen, I was there. Okay. Don't do that to them. Every once in a while, especially with this board, they may know more than you do.